Great news on the COVID vaccine front. A third vaccine has just been approved.
Tiger Woods is recovering from a devastating car crash. We have the update.
There's an investigation into a massive explosion in the city of Waco.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Hannah Minch.
And I'm Andrew Fancher. UNT has announced a new COVID-19 testing policy in regards to in-person events and meetings. ntTV spoke to Melissa McGuire from UNT Student Affairs to find out why the change in policy is necessary.
I think what we're looking to do through this mandatory testing is really create opportunities for us to continue to expand the opportunities that we have in person. I think students are itching to do more in person. We as staff are itching for you to do more in person, and ourselves as well. And we have seen a lot of success in how we have reopened our campus.
The increased testing on campus allows for more in-person events, but also adds more steps for students to follow before each event.
If you were to go get a curative or Binax Now test, so those are the two tests that we have created a system to process for events. And curative is available in the Union as well as the Gateway Center, and Binax Now is a test that's available through the Student Health and Wellness Center. Both of these options are free to students and faculty and staff. So the thought is, if you wanted to go to an event, let's say that event is next Wednesday, sometime between today and up to 72 hours prior to that event, you've got to go get one of those tests. We would get the results from that test. You would get the results from that test within 24 to 48 hours. And so when you go to an event, when you check in, you would swipe your ID card, and a screen would pop up for the event staff who's going to be checking you in that has a green check mark that says you have a valid negative test within the last 7 days. Or you can upload a document that says that you've tested positive within the last 90 days and you don't have to test again. So if you have either one of those, a green check mark comes up. And if you don't have one of those, we get a yellow circle that says oops. And that just means we don't have that information in the system. And so you would not be able to enter the room.
With this mandate comes an increased need for testing. ntTV's Hannah Gonzalez is at one of these sites right now with more information on where you can get tested.
Gateway Center, one of the testing sites here at UNT. With this new mandate, students are to provide a negative COVID test taken no more than 7 days before an in-person event. However, students can provide a positive COVID test from 90 days before. All tests should be uploaded to that link that was sent in your UNT email 72 hours before an in-person event.
The turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours from when our lab receives it, and we do send out the tests every evening at the end of the shift. We've had people come in and have had their results within 24 hours of taking their tests, but we estimate it can take up to 72 hours.
In their efforts to keep everyone on campus safe, UNT is pushing for all faculty and staff to be tested more frequently.
Make sure when you schedule your appointment, you do it through the UNT link that's emailed out to you guys, because the curative website does not list the UNT locations that we have. We have two. We have the one here and then the one over in the Union. Our public website doesn't list those because it is only for UNT students and staff and faculty.
You can schedule a test through that link that was sent to your student emails. Officials say that while negative tests are required to ensure everyone's safety, you should still wear your mask and social distance at 6 feet. That's all I have for you tonight. Hannah and Andrew, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Hannah. And just a few miles from campus, one of the largest mass vaccination sites in Texas is back in business. The Texas Motor Speedway began giving second doses today and will continue through the week. 8,000 doses were given out today, but health officials are aiming for a daily shot count of 10,000. Next week, people are waiting for their first dose of the vaccine will get their shot. And there is help for you if you need transportation to get that all-important shot. Starting this Friday, those with a scheduled vaccination appointment at the Texas Motor Speedway can catch a ride on a provided DCTA bus to the site. DCTA officials say they hope this can make sure everyone can get to the vaccination site. If you're in need of a ride, call DCTA customer service at 940-243-0077 for more information. Finally, some good news for Houstonians as a massive COVID vaccine site opened today at NRG Stadium, home of the Houston Texans. This site is one of 3 operated by FEMA. The goal is to issue 6,000 vaccines daily to eligible Texans, including healthcare workers over the age of 65 and those with certain medical conditions.
In more good news, a third vaccine in the U.S. is on its way. This time made by Johnson & Johnson. CNN's Mandy Gaither has more.
It's another step closer to a third COVID-19 vaccine in the U.S. In a new analysis, the FDA says there were no specific safety concerns identified in the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine, paving the way for recommending authorization during an advisory committee meeting set for Friday.
If an EUA is issued, we anticipate allocating 3 to 4 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine next week.
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is different than the others now on the U.S. market. It doesn't have to be frozen and is made by taking a small amount of genetic material that codes for a piece of coronavirus and integrating it with an altered, weakened version of a common cold virus, allowing it to enter cells but not replicate itself and make people sick. The immune system will then react against these pieces of the coronavirus, offering protection for those who get the shot. The FDA analysis shows this vaccine has a lower efficacy than the others, nearly 67% effective against moderate to severe COVID-19 at least 2 weeks after the shot.
What is the goal of the vaccine? To prevent you from getting really sick, needing hospitalizations and death, and this vaccine seems to work pretty well in that regard.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, Hannah, last week's winter storm came at quite a surprise. So are you ready for the warm weather yet?
I certainly am, Andrew. Now let's see if Donald has some promising temperatures for us. Donald?
Thanks, guys. The sun is still out, and it has been for the majority of the day today. Right now, temperatures are sitting in the lower 60s with wind speeds of 10 miles per hour. Tonight, we're looking to get clear skies with a cool temperature of 40 degrees, so it's not time to cut off those heaters just yet. Tomorrow, a little before noon, we're going to get some rain showers, and the rain will continue throughout the night, but no chance of the ice sneaking in this week's forecast. This weekend is looking pretty rainy right now, but I'll have more on that later on in the show. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Donald. When we come back, an important update on the condition of golf superstar Tiger Woods.
And if you need help in getting back on your feet after the winter storm, the Denton County United Way has just what you need.
But before we go to the break, let's take a look at ntTV's Storm Resource Board. We have a number of websites and useful information for you if you were impacted by the storm. Tiger Woods remains in the hospital after crashing his Genesis SUV earlier this week.
ntTV's own Sarah Baskin has the story.
Golf legend Tiger Woods is recovering after a terrifying car accident yesterday in Los Angeles. CNN's Connor Powell is in Torrance, California with the latest.
The sports world is reeling
This is a tough moment.
as Tiger Woods, one of the most successful golfers in history, recovers in a California hospital from a devastating rollover crash.
All the energy right now is going to be poured into supporting him in the days and months ahead.
Doctors at the Harbor UCLA Medical Center say Woods suffered severe compound fractures, requiring emergency orthopedic surgery to insert a rod, screws, and pins to stabilize his right leg and foot.
Tiger's had some really difficult injuries. The most important thing is his well-being.
An investigation is underway into the cause of the crash that occurred on a section of the roadway in Rancho Palos Verdes, known as a troubled spot for speeding and accidents.
This stretch of road is challenging, and if you're not paying attention, you can see what happens.
Officials say they do not believe Woods was impaired, but was likely driving at a high rate of speed.
There was no evidence of any impairment whatsoever. This is what it is, an accident.
The crash potentially a devastating setback to the champion's hopes of returning to golf glory on the heels of his 5th career back surgery. Fans now hoping for another fairy tale ending.
Maybe after a long rehab, we've got another grand finale to this incredible career this man has had.
In Torrance, California, I'm Connor Powell.
Now, Woods is said to be awake, responsive, and recovering after undergoing that surgery, and we certainly wish him a speedy recovery. That's all I have for now, but I'll be back later in the show with more sports.
Thanks, Sarah. Now, as for yesterday's warm, sunny weather, it looks like it might be on its way out.
Well, I guess that's just Texas weather. Wait 5 minutes and it changes. Let's head back outdoors to weather anchor Donald Britton for a timeline on those changes. Donald?
Thanks, guys. Well, I'm still outside and the sun is just now setting, but we're still getting some of that cool breeze in. Now let's take a look at our temperatures across North Texas. Temperatures are all sitting in the 60s except for Gainesville, who's a little bit closer to summer than we are. Now the temperatures across the state. Austin at almost 80 degrees today and Houston not too far behind. Folks in Amarillo are a bit cooler with a temperature of 51 degrees. Now let's check out our 7-day forecast. Rain starts tomorrow and it's looking to rain all throughout the day, so grab your umbrellas before your morning commute. Friday we get a break from the rain, but it's back on Sunday and we'll finish the weekend off. Monday and Tuesday of next week gives us highs in the mid-60s and lows in the 40s, so a great weekend ahead of us. That's it for the full weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Many people in Denton County were hit hard by first COVID-19 and then last week's winter storm. Freezing pipes, no electricity, and no financial help left many without hope. But United Way of Denton County is looking to help. We talked to Gary Henderson of United Way Denton County about their plans to release grants to the Denton community.
But I think the challenge that we're most concerned about at United Way of Denton County is that very, very simple break in a water line that causes water to be shut off at a home. To have someone have a roof over their head and have utilities running, that's the ground floor. That's the first basic level of comfort and ability we want to provide our residents here in Denton County.
Money is still being raised, but United Way will be posting applications in the next few weeks on their website, and we will keep you updated as we learn more.
4 minutes and 37 seconds. That's how far away Texas was from a complete blackout after the state's power grid struggled against last week's winter storm. That information came out today in an emergency ERCOT board meeting. Meanwhile, 5 of ERCOT's board members who lived outside of the state have resigned. Governor Greg Abbott welcomed those resignations and recommitted his efforts into investigating the events that led to nearly 4 million Texans losing power. ERCOT controls 90% of Texas's power grid, and controlled outages were used in order to prevent a blackout that officials said would have lasted months to repair. Officials will now have to decide if Texas's power grid will need new sets of regulations in order to prevent another disaster. Many Texans experienced single-digit temperatures last week as a result of Winter Storm Uri and Viola. ntTV's Jose Alonso talked to multiple top officials to get to the bottom of everyone's power issue in this week's Eagle Tech segment.
Yes, Andrew, many Texans were caught off guard when last week's winter storm blew in with plenty of snow. The cold air and flurries seemed to have come in peace until they started causing major power outages across the state. Denton was no exception. What seemed to be a clear, chilly season turned into a snow-blanketed disaster when the demand of electricity exceeded the supply. Multiple Denton area residents were either seeing rolling power outages for multiple days or no power at all. Denton's natural gas power plant ran into troubles with the overloading need for power.
There was not enough gas due to the freeze-ups in West Texas to power our power plant. That was just beyond our control. A lot of winterization issues throughout ERCOT. I mean, unprecedented. When you're having temperatures, in the single digits in Houston, that's just unheard of.
The Electricity Reliability Council of Texas governs generation and transmission of power. They had to regulate supply to prevent a statewide blackout. ERCOT does not specify the duration of rolling blackouts, but tells Denton Municipal Electric how much power needs to be shed. Critical loads were not tampered with, and residents who lived near hospitals, fire, and police stations were lucky enough to have power the entire time.
The community really stepped up and people organized water drives to get water to people, funds to help put people up at hotels who are people who were already displaced, so they don't freeze to death living outside.
Many residents were also flocking to hotels in search of heat. Meanwhile, Denton Municipal Electric System operators were working 16-hour shifts to make the best out of a bad situation. There are talks on multiple legislative levels to pass bills to prevent this situation from ever happening again.
I let people know that I'm angry, that I'm fighting for them, and that I want to make sure that I'm going to do whatever I can and am doing whatever I can, everything in my power, to make sure that they don't have to pay a dime.
Councilwoman Arbiter stated that ERCOT has been paid in full and that the remaining bills, like the natural gas power, have not been received yet. As far as fluctuation in rates are concerned, the City Council determines residents' rates and has no plans to change them anytime soon. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jose. We know how dire the situation still is for most Texans. Coming up, we take a look at a massive explosion in Waco, Texas.
And for bar lovers out there, good news. Looks like you'll be able to head back sooner than you thought.
But before the break, let's take another look at our Storm Resource Board and additional sites you can access for help recovering from the storm.
It's that time of year.
harrowing wake-up call for the people of Waco after a semi-truck collided with a train, engulfing in flames Tuesday morning. CNN's Sierra Shipley is covering the story.
A huge, like a bang almost, shook the house. I woke up, instantly saw flames shooting out from the sky.
William Elmore has lived 20 years next to these train tracks, now up in smoke after an 18-wheeler crashed into a train heading southbound.
It's pretty horrifying, I'm not even gonna lie. It just what was going through my mind was just I had to get out of there. My family just get away from the fire.
Elmore was able to save Apollo, but not his other two family pets.
It's a sick feeling. I can't do anything for them. The emergency responders aren't letting us go to the house right now. We can't move, so I mean, they got the fire down, so it's just, I leave it to them.
Homeowners had to stand by and watch while flames grew over time. Courtney stood back to watch her parents' house, who also had to be evacuated.
So we saw flames. We couldn't tell we could tell the direction of the wind, where the flames were going, but we couldn't tell how far they went.
Flames pointing in the direction of her parents' house. It just took a few hours for Dozer to learn the house was safe.
Being in the zone of not being able to understand what's happening, know where it's going to go, just terrifying for me because, yeah, it's my family's well-being.
A shed that stood on Elmore's property for 30 years was lost in the fire.
Other dangerous chemicals were being transported at the rear of the train, but none were affected by the collision.
The ongoing pandemic has been tough for everyone, but now college towns across the nation are getting ready to hit the bar scene once again. ntTV's Jocelyn Lassiter has the story.
That's right, Andy. Originally, Denton County Judge Eads opted into bar reopening back in October when Governor Greg Abbott allowed them to. However, this became short-lived. Back in December, when Denton County exceeded Abbott's 15% metric threshold, it resulted in businesses, restaurants, and retail dropping from 75% to 50%, and bars that didn't operate as restaurants were closed. Eads, however, signed and submitted an opt-in form on February 16th, confirming the reopenings of Denton County. The public wasn't informed of this decision until Monday. So if you're looking forward to having some fun here in Denton County, definitely come out and check out Fry Street and those reopening of those bars. That's all I have for you tonight. Back to you guys in the studio.
The city of Denton is home to many artists and pet lovers. Our very own Painting with a Twist, located right off of the Denton Square, has a fun way to combine the two passions while serving the community. What do dogs, painting, and community have in common? A little studio located just off of the Denton Square hosted an adorable event over the weekend that combines the love of pets and painting while giving back to the community.
What you do is when you sign up, you're prompted, you send in your pet animals, and we sketch it out for you kind of like this. We just sketch it out and we walk you through step by step over a 3-hour course to create your pet.
You don't have to be Picasso to partake in this painting event. So, in case you're thinking that painting isn't really for you, owner Jacoby Roberts explains how the studio guarantees happy customers no matter the level of experience.
We still care very much about where we are located, and we try to give back as much as possible.
For each Painting with a Purpose event, the studio partners with different nearby organizations to donate a portion of the event's proceeds. Be sure to follow along Painting with a Twist Denton Facebook page to watch for more upcoming events. I'm Hannah Minch, ntTV. Jacoby hopes to continue her passion as long as time and COVID permits. But Denton isn't the only city with an artist, and Dallas Mavericks number 77 is making the sport his own.
I certainly agree, Hannah, and I believe our sports anchor Sarah Baskin has an update on his recent win as well as UNT sports. Sarah?
Thanks, guys. Luka definitely had a great night last night in that win, and I'll fill you in more about that after the break. But before we go to the break, let's take a look at the ntTV Storm Resource Board one more time. We have a number of websites and useful information for you if you were impacted by the storm. The Mavs won a thrill at home last night, taking down the Boston Celtics 110-107. Luka Doncic drained a clutch three in the final second of the game to seal the win. Now, Dallas moves to 500 on the season, but their victory celebration won't last long. The NBA's second half schedule was released today, and the Mavs have a brutal 38 games in 67 days after the All-Star break. The Mavs play the Philadelphia 76ers tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And the Mean Green men's basketball team is gearing up to take on Marshall on the road this weekend after a disappointing postponement against Western Kentucky due to the winter storm last week. Marshall's Tavian Kinsey leads the conference in scoring, so Javian Hamlet and company have their work cut out for them on defense this weekend. UNT is currently first in CUSA West with an 8-2 record in conference play. Now, they need a win against Marshall to stay on top, but their bigger challenge could be against UAB next weekend, who is currently second in CUSA West. And winter's coming to an end, and softball season is just warming up. The UNT softball team won their home opener, ruling Abilene Christian 10-2 in 5 innings yesterday afternoon. Freshman Janie Worthington shined in her first career start, taking a no-hit bid all the way into the 5th inning. Worthington said after the game that she was confident in the years and the season to come. The Mean Green continue their 6-game homestand this weekend with the North Texas Invitational. And that's all I have for sports. Back to you at the desk.
There's a new app called Museum Alive made by naturalist David Attenborough. This app features 3 extinct species, a Smilodon, the Dimorphodon, and the Opabinia. Users can pick between the 3 to play with. All they have to do is point their phone camera to a flat surface and the creature and their habitat will appear. This app is available for iPhone 8 and upwards on iOS 13.
Sounds like an exciting app. I'll have to check that out.
Definitely.
Now, thanks for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. here on North Texas Television.